Today we're going to talk about skateboarding, pro skateboarders, and really how we should be managing our money so that when our careers end, we're able to succeed, because we all know the story with not just skateboarders, but athletes. It's a challenge for us. It's a challenge to move into the next career or the next purpose. So that's what this is going to be about. I understand that not everybody's a pro skateboarder. Not everybody's an athlete. But I would still recommend watching this because there are actually a lot of similarities in struggles that we go through that actually will resonate regardless of your career. Even though our career ends much sooner than most people, it's actually kind of rare for somebody to work the same job for 30, 35 years now. Like there's typically going to be some type of change up, which means reinventing yourself. That's something that we struggle with. Something like cash flow. Coming in and going out is something that we're all trying to do well. So I would recommend watching this video regardless if you're an athlete or not. If you're a pro skateboarder, please pay attention to this. This is something that too many of us are failing at, and we definitely need to get to a point where the vast majority of us are succeeding. Before we go into the video, we're going to ask for you to like and subscribe. Hitting the like button helps these videos get out there. It definitely hits the algorithm to deploy this, and that's part of why we're doing it. We want to educate and empower as many people as possible, and something as simple as hitting the like button sends it out there to more people, which helps us live our purpose. So please hit the like button. The thing that is unique to pro skateboarders is the fact that we have two retirements. We have retirement 1.0 and we have retirement 2.0. And a lot of times, it's not even a lot of times, 99.9% of pro skateboarders don't make enough to just get all the way to one retirement. All of us pretty much retire as pro skateboarders and then have to move into the next career path, which is then focusing on retirement 2.0. So everything that we're going to be talking about is how you as a skater, and this part's specific to skaters, need to focus on retirement 1.0 so that your transition into your next career sets you up to succeed. But you do need to be looking at it as two retirements. So this is all on retirement 1.0. So this is the first thing that is so important when preparing for our first retirement is Runway. Making sure that you have enough capital to help you through the transitional period of your career ending and moving in to the next thing. And this is something that is really important. Every pro skateboarder needs to hear this one part. It's going to be emotional. There's going to be a part to it that is just hard. It's like skating is all we know. It's our identity. It's our purpose. A lot of us have been doing it since we were kids, and it's going to be hard in a sense letting go of it or no longer being known as, like in my case, Mikey the pro skateboarder. Like there was a moment where I had to find closure. So making sure you have runway to work through the emotional crap so that you're able to find the next thing you want to do and still enjoy it and have purpose, because without runway, you're in survival mode. And if you're in survival mode, you don't have the luxury of like saying goodbye to this one part in your life. And I think for all of us, what we don't want is to be the person that's basically for the rest of our lives going back and talking about this moment in our life. Like, can you imagine me 30 years from now talking about me as a pro skateboarder? Like, I don't think that's us at our highest calling. And I think by you putting yourself in a position where you're not able to work through saying goodbye in a sense, there's a possibility of you becoming that person. And I don't think we should all become that. So how do you build this runway? And I think there's two things to be mindful of. One, you got to be careful supporting people around you just to support them. You'll see a lot of people, and I get it, but you see a lot of people paying for mom and dad, brother or sister, or for us skaters, your homies. It's like you always have people in your crew that aren't pro skateboarders that you enjoy skating with. They're part of the group, and you find yourself kind of just paying for them to be a homie. A couple things here. One, that's not your responsibility. Two, it's actually not good for any of you because it's going to end bad in the long run. Your career, you don't have a long window here being a pro skateboarder. It's short-lived. So if you're not maximizing, one, the cash that you have to set yourself up, and you're supporting everybody else just to be around you, the second you stop making money, all of you suffer. Where I think it's better to look at it as empower and inspire your friends to go earn for themselves and ultimately be successful with you so that when your career ends, it's not all of you guys out here trying to stay afloat. You now are all continuing to move up together. So, and I get it. Like, dude, these are the people we love. Like, we want to support them. I think like there's a lot of times where we want to give, but just be mindful that if they're people we love, we want them to succeed. And just by us paying them to be around doesn't set any of us up to really win in the long run. Second, prioritizing cash flows or really capping your lifestyle. And this is something that like I'm so thankful for that Randy did for me when I was young, was he told me the importance of capping my lifestyle and maintaining that expense even after I start making more money. So this is basically the biggest challenge that most people have is they make more money and then they spend more money. But if you can, one, cap your lifestyle and become comfortable living on that lifestyle as you make more money, that then gives you more money to put towards your savings, your investments, and ultimately to building this runway at retirement 1.0. The second part that happens is it creates a discipline. And the discipline is something that is so valuable. And I was able to actually experience, a decade after Randy started implementing this in me. But basically it's the idea of learning to be responsible with little so that you can be responsible with a lot. And so what happened to me is from 19, I get comfortable living on a certain amount. I start making more money. I'm still living on this amount. So I start building this discipline. And then with St. Archer, we end up selling St. Archer. I get more money than I've ever seen before. And because I had already built that discipline, I was already comfortable with where I was and didn't need that money to come in and start spending more. So from a expense standpoint, nothing changed in our life. My family, we still lived off the same amount before St. Archer or after. And we were only able to do that because the discipline was already created. And then what happened is I now had more money to put towards my future, more money towards investments. So allowing that spread, in a sense, to happen for staying on your lifestyle and making more money is only going to help you build the runway to succeed at retirement 1.0. So when we talk about capping your lifestyle, this is a part where you have to create a budget. You have to create a budget and really create a system, we call it pay yourself first, where you're automating a certain percentage that comes out of every check that goes towards building this runway. We actually did a video on this called Pay Yourself First, so we'll include it in the notes so that you can go and watch it and then help implement this structure. If you're in debt, you need to get out of debt as soon as possible. Put all of your attention towards debt before even doing anything we've talked about. If you're in debt, I would go look at Dave Ramsey. I think he's unbelievable when it comes to helping people get out of debt. But get out of debt because that's going to kill your ability to create runway. And for us, everything is for runway. If you are out of debt, now we go into the next stage, which is an emergency fund. And for most people, we recommend about 6 months of expenses in your emergency fund. For skaters, I think you should have more than that. I think probably look at about 12 months of emergency fund. So that will definitely give you 12 months for you to figure out the next stage. And now it's kind of dependent on who you are, what you want to do afterward. If most likely you're going to be an employee or work at another brand or company, 12 months should be fine. If you're thinking that you want to possibly start a business, keep in mind that you're going to need money to start that business. So if that's the plan that you are thinking you're going to head down or head towards, start planning for it early. figure out how much capital you're gonna need for it, and then have that on top of the 12 months. So you're gonna have a 12-month emergency fund, and then call it opportunity cash to start the business that's gonna be your next career. Really quick on this one, if you are thinking about starting a business, I would actually start like talking about it now. Like, try to start making it a part of your brand before you've actually transitioned. Like, looking back for me, dude, I wish I would have started talking about investing and the importance of setting myself up after skateboarding while I was still skateboarding. Because I think it helps the transition, one, feel more authentic for yourself, and also like the people following you. Like, people resonate with what you're doing, and if you're able to figure out what you want to do next and start kind of talking about it now, so that the people following you feel like they're going down this natural path with you, I think the transition is going to be better. Also, if you can start a company while you're still a pro skateboarder, you're eliminating a lot of risk because you're making money as a pro skateboarder. It's a whole different challenge and a lot scarier when you have to start a company and float yourself until the company's profitable to pay you. So if that's something you want to do, I would try to do it while you're still skating. This is the part where you're either going to have to educate yourself or hire the education. And for me, how I did it, I hired people to help me set everything up at a time where I just didn't know about money or investments. So I had somebody, one, help me create my business so that I was capturing all my expenses, so a CPA. I had an advisor help me create a financial plan, and ultimately was allocating, certain dollars into different investments or asset classes that was on par for me achieving my financial goals. And then once I had everything set up and working, then I started wanting to learn about it. So I had everything set up in the beginning. I had somebody educating me on how it worked. And then I got to a point where I understood about money. And then ultimately, if I wanted to, I could do it myself. If you're going down my path, which was hiring the help, I had an advisor come in. Make sure that advisor knows about make sure that advisor is managing athletes. If they're managing skaters, even better, because our plan is very different than everyone else's. So you want to make sure you have somebody that understands our world. Also, make sure you understand how they're paid, because there's a lot of advisors out there that make money based on the investments they put you in. And so now you have cases where they're putting you in investments so they can make money. That doesn't mean that that investment is best for you and how you're ultimately going to achieve financial freedom. So understand how they're paid, ask them why they're doing things, and make sure they're not just a sales guy. You want somebody who really is going to help you succeed and cares about what you're doing. If they're managing other athletes, you can then hit the other athletes up and ask how it's going, ask how the success has been, and more importantly, they're going to be more familiar with our world, our situation, and what it takes for us to move from retirement 1.0 into career 2.0, and then setting ourselves up for retirement 2.0. If you're not going to hire the help, this is the time where you educate yourself so that you can learn, and then you can put it into action, and then ultimately succeed at it. So going down that path, I'd recommend going back and watching all our videos. The reason we do this is to educate and empower so that you could succeed. So go soak up all of our content. Some books that were huge for me, The Intelligent Investor, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Richest Man in Babylon. Those will really help you create the foundation. And then kind of broad strokes, remember, 12 months of an emergency fund, 12 months of expenses for an emergency fund, cash reserves. Start educating yourself on retirement plans. Look at Roth IRAs. This is something that you can now open yourself through Fidelity, Schwab, Ameritrade, and start educating yourself on mutual funds. This is an opportunity that you should be using to help yourself plan. How I want to close this is, when it comes to skaters, I think skaters are the most disciplined people on the planet. For what it takes to become good at skateboarding, it's all about being disciplined. And that's how investing is as well. Being disciplined when it comes to your money is going to be the deciding factor between success or failure. And you already have that part dialed in. So now it's just basically making the decision that you are going to focus on this, educate and apply, and you put that same energy towards this, you are going to be set and really stoked that you did this 10, 20, 30 years down the line.